Okay, so let's work on this door first, and we're going to build this door in 3ds Max. Okay, so we're going to use the same approach that we use with building the terrain. Um, and that approach is to actually trace the image using proportions and then scaling. So that's the typical approach that we use when modeling in 3ds Max. So let's do that now. So what we're going to do is to locate the file. So here is the file here. We're going to create a plane. This plane can be of any size. Let's look on the image that we have here. So this image, we're going to look on the resolution, and I'm using Earth and View, which is a free image viewing application. It's pretty cool. And I'm going to look on the information for the image, and I see here I want to use the resolution of the image, which in this case is 225 by 225, so that I get the proportion of my image correct when I drag it over into 3ds Max. So to make that possible, what we're going to do is in 3ds Max, I'm going to make this plane here 225 by 225. Doesn't matter the units. What really matters is the proportion, right? Because remember, we're going to be tracing based on proportion. Okay, so once we have that in place, it is a simple gesture to now drag the image from Windows Explorer onto your plane. Now once you do that, the image is actually there. What I'll do is go to a top view, and if I zoom in enough, you will see that the image is there, but the scale of it is a bit too small. So to deal with this issue, you click on the plane, go to modify, and then I'm going to change the option real world map size. I'm going to turn that off, and that's it. Now we have our door to the correct proportion. So I'm going to call this plane door. Okay, now once we have the door image in, let me switch to a perspective view here. Now we need to start modeling the door. So the first thing we need to do is get it to the right dimensions while keeping the ratio. So the image that we had here doesn't really have dimensions. So I'm going to use the dimensions of the technical model, even though it's not the same image, but it will do for now. So this is 96 inches by 42 inches, and if I look in my units in 3ds Max, I see that I'm using metric. I could change it to inches here, or I could just type it in. So let's get a reference object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box, or let's use a plane rather. So I'm going to draw a plane, and this plane I'm going to make it the dimensions that I'm going to make it the dimensions of here. So 96 inches by 42 inches. So even though I'm in meters, I just need to type for my length 96 and the inch symbol, and 42 and the inch symbol. Now this is a accurately scaled version of the door. So what I want to do now is just scale this down, and I want to move everything close to the center of my scene. I don't want to have it all the way over here. I want to zoom in a bit. Let's zoom in. and I'm going to go to a top view here. So this blue box here represents my scaled door. This is the correct dimensions of my door, which is about 1.067 meters by 2.4 meters. And this proportion version now, I want to just scale down until it matches this version here. Alright. Now I could use a cool feature of Max by making this object semi-transparent. That's a cool feature. To do that, I just need to click on my object, right click, go to object properties, and in object properties I just change on the rendering control, change it from by layer by clicking on it, and change the visibility to maybe 0.3. Alright, so now it's semi-transparent. That's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to scale this up. And I think I'm going to stretch it. Yeah. Alright. Go to perspective. And pretty much this is my door. Now in 3ds Max, if you're going to be modeling, you're going to be using a lot of polygons. So instead of the lines and extrusion of lines, when modeling with polygons, it's a little different. So we're going to be modeling with polygons, and first what we want to do is change our view mode to edged faces so that we can see the polygons that make up the object. Right now this object is a plane, right? And because it is a plane, we can change the parameters of a plane. Now we don't want to mess with the dimensions because we've already sized that to the correct dimension. So what we want to do is change the width segments. We're going to empty that out and put that to 1, put the length segments to 1 and the width segments to 1. So now we just have one big rectangular polygon. At this point, in editing with polygons, you would align the polygon over the reference drawing. I'm going to also reduce the amount of segments for the reference drawing. There we go. And what I would do now is manipulate the polygons according to this image that I have in the background. Okay, so first thing I would do is convert this to an editable poly. Now I'm able to select the vertices, edges, or faces of this polygon. So the first feature I'd want to use is edge. I want to select these two edges, and I want to use a connect feature. So I'm going to use the connect tool, and what connect tool does is actually connect two edges. So I've just connected here, and I'll put that up there. As let me do this in top view so I'm a little bit more accurate. There we go. I'll select these two edges and I'll connect them again. I'll put these there. Select these two edges, connect, put them there. Select these two edges and repeat the same. So notice this method is really, you know, kind of estimating. It's not based on typing in dimensions. And if that's not your aim, typing in dimensions, then this is the perfect method. If it is typing in dimensions, then you might want to use AutoCAD to do that. Okay, so I'm going to connect these there and connect there. Okay. Alright, after that's done, then I would probably want to select polygon and delete the polygon faces here. So I end up with something like that. Let me turn this off. Remember that this is just there for tracing. This is actually what we've just created. And at this point now I could just move this out of the way. And let me go to perspective view. This is what we have so far. Then we want to use a feature called shell. So I'm going to select the door. Let me call this 3D door. And in my modifier panel, I'm going to select shell. And what shell does is give a flat polygon thickness in a nutshell. So the thickness of this door will be about 2 inches. I'm going to put 2 inches. And it will actually give it thickness. Now remember that we have this feature on. Right click, go to properties. We have this visibility set to 0.3. Let's set it back to 1. And that's it there. And that's a couple seconds of modeling. Okay, let's get the louvers in. Okay, there are so many ways we could get the louvers in. I'm going to pick one of these ways. So I'm going to go to create. I'm going to create a plane. And I'm going to use my snaps. Go to vertex. And I'll create a plane from here to there. So we put the plane inside. And what we're going to do is, remember this is a plane. We're going to increase the width segments. Oops. The width segments, which is this, actually the length segments. And this is going to be our louvers here. Then we're going to convert this to an editable poly so that we can access each polygon individually. So right click, convert to editable poly. And if now I'm able to click on each one of these, but notice that if I try to move it, they're all connected. So the first thing we need to do is to detach each one. So we're going to do that. We're going to click detach. I'm going to scroll down here, and here's detach. I'm going to detach to an element. Do the same, detach. There we go, and we don't need to detach the last one because, well, it will be an object by itself. So now that they're detached, now we can select each one, and now if we move it, we realize that it's actually not attached. So we're going to select each one, and we're going to use the rotate tool, and we're going to rotate them. Let me undo that. We're going to make sure we have our rotation snap on, so we rotate it at let's use 30 degrees. And we're going to add the shell modifier. So we're going to apply the shell modifier, shell, and we're going to choose the thickness. Watch the thickness of a louver. We're going to make it about a ½ inch. So that would be about 15 millimeters. And we are going to use the move tool, and we're going to place that just about in the center of here. Alright, then now we're going to copy this, and we're going to make it a copy, and we're going to use element, and we're going to copy a few of these, maybe about 4. I'm going to copy it up. Let's try to make that as equal as possible. So let's use our snaps, and we're going to be using our vertex snap. our vertex snap, and we're going to snap it here to lock that selection. Hold shift and copy, so that way it's equal. And that's it. We have our louvered door created in 3D Max. We can now group this door, turn off lock, and we can group this door now, call that door. And we can save the file.